The RGV500 story begins with the grand ambition of Suzuki, the Hamamatsu, Japan-based manufacturer, long renowned for its expertise in crafting high-performance two-stroke engines. Entering the second half of the 1980s, the 500cc class was the main battleground for A-list manufacturers. Victory in this class wasn't just about trophies. It was about technological supremacy and prestige. It was with this determination that Suzuki's finest engineers were tasked with creating a weapon capable of challenging and defeating their rivals. This project, later known by the internal code XR, would give birth to the Suzuki RGV500, a motorcycle produced from 1986 to 2001.
Look at this, Schwantz coming up now on the outside. That's lost on the red bike in the center. The blue bike of Saron, side by side with Schwantz.
Let's dissect the anatomy of this legend. The mechanical heart of the Suzuki RGV500 was a two-stroke V4 engine with an angle between cylinders that varied throughout its evolution, though often in a 60 or 70 degree configuration. Its engine capacity, as per regulations, was 499.3 cubic centimeters. One of its most famous versions, the XR75, which was active in the mid-1990s, featured a bore and stroke of 56 by 50.7 millimeters. This engine was no mere lump of metal. It was a precision orchestra designed to produce a brutal explosion of power. The fuel intake system used an advanced reed valve system, optimizing the air-fuel mixture flow into the combustion chamber. Its exhaust system was also meticulously designed, complete with a power valve, often called Suzuki AETC, automatic exhaust timing control, aimed at broadening the power curve, providing better torque at low and mid-range RPMs without sacrificing peak power at the top end. Speaking of power, the RGV500 was a true beast. The XR79 model, which carried Kevin Schwantz to his world championship title in 1993, reportedly produced over 165 horsepower at 12,800 RPM. Some sources even mention that at its peak iteration, like the XR75 model, the power churned out could reach around 195 brake horsepower at 13,500 revolutions per minute. Imagine that much power from an engine of just half a liter. This figure, when converted, is equivalent to about 138 kilowatts to over 145 kilowatts. This wild power was channeled to the rear wheel through a precise 6-speed manual transmission, equipped with a dry clutch system commonly used on race bikes to minimize power loss and facilitate component replacement. However, immense power would mean nothing without capable handling. Suzuki engineers designed an aluminum twin-spar or beam frame chassis that offered an optimal combination of rigidity for high-speed stability and agility for tackling tight corners. Weight was a primary concern, with a dry weight ranging from 287 to 298 pounds, depending on the model and year. The RGV500 boasted an astonishing power-to-weight ratio. This made it a projectile capable of ferocious acceleration and incredibly responsive changes in direction. To tame this performance, a top-class suspension and braking system was absolutely necessary. Up front, upside-down telescopic forks from specialist manufacturers like Kayaba were a mainstay, offering precise damping and feedback.
Look at the wheelie.
At the rear, a monoshock suspension, also often from Kayaba, worked hard to maintain rear tire traction as the immense power was delivered. The braking department was no less impressive. The RGV500 was equipped with dual carbon disc brakes at the front, an exotic lightweight material offering incredible stopping power at optimal operating temperatures. These discs could reach diameters of 310 millimeters or more, gripped by 4 to 6 piston brake calipers. This combination was crucial for riders to brake as hard as possible before entering corners. to hold enough fuel to last the entire race duration. The RGV500's fuel tank had a capacity of around 32 liters. The Suzuki RGV500's journey to the champion's throne wasn't a smooth or instant path. Early models like the XR71 and XR72 showed potential, but still required significant development to consistently fight at the front. A key turning point came in 1988 with the introduction of the XR73 model and, more crucially, the arrival of a talented young rider from Houston, Texas, United States, Kevin Schwantz. Schwantz, with his flamboyant, aggressive, and fully committed racing style, seemed destined for the RGV500. He secured his first Grand Prix victory aboard the RGV500 at Suzuki's home circuit, Suzuka, Japan, in 1988. The relationship between Schwantz and the RGV500 became one of the most iconic stories in GP500 history. Schwantz was famous for his adage, "See God, then brake." This racing style, while incredibly entertaining, was also highly demanding on both the bike and his physique. In its early to mid-period, the RGV500 was often considered to have a slight power deficit on straightaways compared to some of its main rivals.
Coming up into second position is Kevin Schwantz, who is third at the moment, behind Christian Sarron.
Schwantz and his team often compensated by maximizing the RGV500's advantages in chassis agility and braking capability. He would brake later and carry more speed into the corners. The pinnacle of this extraordinary collaboration occurred in the 1993 racing season. Riding the Suzuki RGV500 XR79, which had received various significant refinements, including the use of lightweight materials like a magnesium crankcase that saved about 2 kilograms, along with improvements in power delivery, grip, suspension, and overall bike balance, Kevin Schwantz successfully captured the 500cc World Championship title. It was a deeply emotional and historic moment for Schwantz, Suzuki, and his fans worldwide. However, the RGV500's success story didn't end there. The bike was continuously developed by Suzuki, adapting to changing technical regulations and the ever-increasing demands of the competition. Other riders also achieved notable success aboard the RGV500. Daryl Beattie, an Australian rider, finished as World Championship runner-up in 1995, proving the RGV500 remained a serious contender. Entering the new millennium, as the 500cc two-stroke era neared its twilight, the Suzuki RGV500 once again showed its prowess. It was Kenny Roberts Jr., son of racing legend Kenny Roberts Sr., who successfully brought the RGV500 back to the pinnacle of World Championship glory. After a consistent performance and finishing as runner-up in the 1999 season, Roberts Jr. finally clinched the 500cc World Championship title in 2000. This victory was highly significant, as it not only marked the second world title for the RGV500, but also became the last 500cc class world championship, won by a two-stroke machine before the full transition to the four-stroke MotoGP era in 2002. This also stood as Suzuki's last Premier Class World title until Joan Mir achieved it in the modern MotoGP era. The Suzuki RGV500, with two Rider World Championships and dozens of Grand Prix victories over its more than a decade of participation, was more than just a racing motorcycle. It was a symbol of a wild, challenging, and passionate era. The distinctive shriek of its V4 two-stroke engine, its aerodynamic and aggressive silhouette, and the iconic liveries that once adorned it, like the legendary Lucky Strike colors, have been etched into the collective memory of motorcycle racing fans.